Hey, welcome back to Little Cabin on the Hill. This is the second part of our UV system installation videos. And it's been a couple of weeks since the intro video, so I've got all my pieces and parts together. And I guess we'll just be showing you again kind of the steps that I'm taking to install the system. It may not be the cleanest install. I'm dealing with a little bit of a challenge with the space, and I'll show you that here in a minute. And I'll recap some of the challenges that I discovered under the house in the crawl space with the way the previous owner kind of arranged the plumbing coming in and out some of the fixtures. So I'll show you what I have to do there. So this won't be, I plan to pretty much do like some snapshots, not necessarily showing the progress as I make it. I'll just show you kind of along the way, just to avoid all the steps where I have to sit and think and try to figure out what I'm going to do. So let me turn you around first and show you what the first challenge in the space is that I'm dealing with. Okay, so here's our closet. Again, where I want to put I'm going to, whether I want to or not, I'm going to be putting the UV system in here. You can see it's relatively small. First off, it's a small cabin. Like I've said, this is a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, 1-closet cabin. So I bought the system that I showed, intentionally because it's fairly compact. And my initial thinking was, if I could step in here, that I was going to put it on this back wall here. And unfortunately, even though as much as I've thought through this and drawn things out, kind of ridiculously, I forgot to take into consideration the things that I have to attach to the side of the unit. And so I don't think I'm going to be able to put it here as I was hoping. Just gets too wide once I put the initial first couple of fixtures on each side, the valves that have to go on each side of it. So unfortunately, I was trying to avoid putting it on the back wall. First off, there's a shelf up here, so you have to position it a certain amount of distance away from the top so that you can take the UV light in and out as you need to change it. And also, we'll be hanging clothes up here occasionally. So I didn't necessarily want to put clothes right in front of, kind of sort of overlapping over top of the water system. So what I think I'm going to do is come down here and install it lower on the wall. So at least, we don't have clothes right up against the system after I install it. We're not hanging long dresses or anything like that here at the cabin. So I think that'll be better if I put it down low. I am going to have to move this little shelving unit that I had built. It's not anchored to the wall or anything, but I think I'll just be able to move it over to the side over there instead, and that should give you plenty of room on the back wall. So that's my initial thinking, or maybe not initial thinking, but my current thinking. And last video did not show you, but I said I was going to have to get into the wall here so I could just make sure I knew where the plumbing was going out to the house. And so I'll show you. Hopefully you can see it. Didn't get too dark here. So I cut that open, and sure enough, there's the water lines. This is the cold coming up from the pressure tank. And then just above this, so right in here, is a T where it splits off. One goes to the water heater, one goes up into the attic and out to the rest of the fixtures in the house, to the kitchen. So I've got to cut one more. I'm going to take basically the same size piece out of the next board up so I can expose that valve. And then that's where we will be ultimately tapping back into this, to the system. Actually, I guess we could probably go a little bit lower, but I want to be able to open that up just so I can have full access to that. So that's challenge number one. Thankfully, things were where I expected them or was hoping that they were going to be. And so I guess, sorry, I lost my train of thought here for a second. But so the first thing I'll do is I'm just going to cut that out so I can expose that. And then I've got to remove these boards on the outside of the pressure tank just so I can have access to everything down there. And then once I get all that done, we'll show you kind of that current status at that point. Okay, first things first. You can see on the side of this there is a This is on the inlet side into the sediment filter area. There is a threaded connection here. That first thing you need to do is put an adapter on there so you can go. I'm using PEX in this case, so you need to get one of these threaded adapters. This is a male adapter, MNPT they're called. Again, I'm not an expert, but did a lot of YouTube watching and did a test fit actually at the store just to make sure I was getting the right part. But anyhow, so this is the first step. I've got to get this onto this side, and there's another one over here. This one is actually threaded. You could do either way. You can either do a female, I think it's just 1 inch on the outside, or the male 3/4 is threaded on the inside. So I'm just doing the same thing on both of those. So I'm going to put some Teflon tape around there, get these secured, and then do another, just a sanity check on the place where I wanted to put it in the closet. But as I said, I'm pretty sure it's not going to fit as soon as I put those on, then the next thing going on is going to be a valve. And I think once I put a valve on both sides, it's going to be too big. But I'll double check before I make a final decision on the placement of the filter. So we'll see what happens on the next little bit of this video.
Do you want me to? So Dan, what have you been doing today?
Okay, so I told you I'd be back after I did a lot of the rethinking. So in the end, decided it was still best to go with that back wall. You can see I had to expand literally into the cabin a little bit just to make room for it. I had to take this wall out, and then I just didn't have enough room without taking that wall out, actually, to put all the fittings there. But if I put it any other place, it would have been just as many problems, I think. And as far as convenience goes for the closet, it seems like that's the best way to do it. So took that wall out, or the planks anyways, and not sure if you can see back in that corner back there. I also took panels out to make a little more room on that side.
But the old cabin is back there, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's true. That's the old framing back in there from the cabin. So, when all's said and done, I'll put whatever pieces back I can, or dress it up in some other way. But I'm basically to the point now where I can't do anything else without shutting the water off. So this is like, I'm not sure what you want to call it, but this is like
the make or break
the
moment
of truth. That's the thing I was trying to come up with. So yeah, the last things to do are this connection down here is where the water is going to come out of the pressure tank. So this is the in. And if we just want to, I'm not sure how well you can, hopefully you can see okay. But so the way this is set up is that you don't have to do this, but it's recommended that you put in a bypass loop in case there's any kind of problem with the filter system, that you can bypass it and still at least have running water to your house. So when these, normally speaking, this valve will be open. That takes the water to the filter, and then up here on the top you would keep this closed in the bypass loop, so water has to go through the filter, and then there's another valve here, so you're basically using those valves you can isolate the filter system. So normally that's open, and then it's going to come back through here, and then the last connection I have to make to the house is this T-fitting. This is the main supply to the rest of the house. So I have to make that fitting connection. I have to connect through the water to the pressure tank, as I showed earlier. That's pretty much it. Outside of there's some I guess I'll show later on. I've got to actually go into the crawl space to make one more change down there because there's some goofy things going on with the way the guy that we bought the cabin from, the way he did some plumbing was, if we keep it the same, not all water will be guaranteed to go through this system. So hopefully that'll make sense when I show that to you. But basically, like I said, it's ready to go. It's not pretty. Well, I mean, everything looks pretty, but had to be a little creative with how to actually get it accomplished. And I'll just put all the boards back in as I can, and have to notch around some things. But eventually it'll look a little more finished. But I guess that's about it until I'll show you what's happening under the house when I go down there, and then we'll show you, hopefully, everything working with no leaks.
You made a mess.
Oh my gosh. Right. Welcome to the crawl space. Here comes the scary part, cutting into the main water line. So let me turn you around and show you what we got. All right, so sorry for the lighting. I'm down here. It's very dark. There's no lighting. I've got a flashlight. But this line right here is the main water coming in from the storage tank outside. And you can see, like right here, there's a branch where it goes to the right. That right there is going to the pressure tank. The guy before us, had actually had only one side of the pressure tank hooked up. He only went to the inside, which is different than anything I've ever seen online. Again, I'm not an expert plumber, but I've not seen it before. So what he was doing, so water would come up there, get pressurized, and then going back down here, you can see so it branched off. So here's the main water line coming in, and then instead of just going just to the pressure tank, he had a T here going up, and that junction right there, that fed the rest of the house. That pipe right there that my light's shining on, that fed the rest of the house, and then also branched off this way. Sorry, my hand is shaking. And going this way goes back to our to the bathroom, to the bathtub in particular. So if I had just put the filter in on the top, this is where I was saying there was a chance that like water would not, like some of this water could go this way, especially to the bathtub. Maybe the rest of the house would be okay, but not that we drink the bath water, not on purpose anyways, but that water would always have been untreated going that way, right? So water could come directly in from the storage tank and then out to the bathtub. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically cut this pipe right here. I'm going to cut this section out, and I'm going to put a cap on it on that side so that water has to go up this way, up into the pressure tank, and then we'll go out of the pressure tank, which is going to be one of the last steps I do that I'll show you in a little bit. So it will go out of the pressure tank and then back into the rest of the house that way. So this little section here will be removed. I'm trying to get you a better shot. This little section right here, I'm going to take off and put a cap there, and I'm going to put a cap there on this side. So water is going to have to come up and into the pressure tank. So that's what I'm getting ready to do. Wish me luck. I drained all the water as much as I can, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be some water coming out of here. But at least I'm in the crawl space. I figured I'd do this part first before I disconnect the outlet side of the pressure tank upstairs, because at least the water will come out this way into there's plastic and rocks. And here's kind of a look while we're here. This is the crawl space. This is a real deal crawl space. Rocks are, look, holding up the floor of the cabin. Anyhow, that's the tour of the crawl space. So let me get to working here, and hopefully things will go well, and then we'll get back upstairs to do the final connection. Okay, so here we are, back up at the pressure tank. So this is, you can see this T assembly here. It's kind of old. I really thought about replacing it at the same time that I did all this, but I don't know. Things were starting to get expensive with all those shark bite fittings and things, and I might regret it later. You can see it's pretty old. Has a little putty repair there. There was just a tiny drip there, so I'm hoping it's been holding. But yeah, I probably should have just done it while I'm in the middle of all this activity. But anyways, decided against. So maybe another video later on how to replace that. But you can see this is where water is coming in, from the crawl space, and then did not go out. So it was all just literally using this just for pressure, and it was pushing the water back out into the pipes of the house that direction, instead of letting it come the natural direction that I've seen always described, out that way. So that's the last connection I'm going to make. So I got to take that cap off, and then it will come out. Just try to, where to go? There we go. It'll come out that hole there, and that's just loose. I'll bring that back and connect in here. And that should be the last of the connections, barring any leaks. So keep your fingers crossed. So I'll show you when everything's assembled, and right before we do the pressure test, we'll see how it goes. Bye. All right, so battery's about dead on my camera. Hopefully I'll get all this in. So I just wanted to kind of recap. So first off, I turned all the water on, turned the water on, and then one by one kind of checked each valve, and thankfully nothing is leaking. None of the fittings are leaking at all. I don't think I mentioned it earlier. So obviously what I've used, the blue pipe, is the PEX pipe, and all the fittings are it's upside down, but you can see the SharkBite brand fittings that are the push fits, and seem to work well. I had a little bit of concern on a couple of them. I just didn't, sometimes you push it in and it felt real firm, like it went in, you could, like a click. Other times they didn't really make that click, but felt like they went in okay, and I pushed as hard as I could just to make sure, and I was a little worried about a connection or two, but it looks like everything's doing good. So anyways, working well. No leaks at that last fitting there. No leaks anywhere. I just turned on all the water fixtures and got some of the sediment out of the system, and things are holding up. So the only thing that I really have left that I didn't talk about is the electrical. So right now I've got the wire going up here, and the controller box is just sitting up here. I've not obviously turned it on. It's not installed. But I have to run some power. I need to get an outlet in the closet, which I don't have right now. So I'd rather not use an extension cord at all for this. So, but what I realized, I guess is a better word for it. Right on the other side of this wall is the bathroom, and there's an outlet over there that I think I will use as the source of my power. So I'll be able to tap into it there and then install an outlet either over up here or down here. I'm not sure where I'll put it, but that'll be the last step. I am not planning to show you that at all because, I'm not an electrician. I think I'll do it right, but I don't really want anybody taking advice from me on the electrical stuff. So more than likely won't show you that at all. So I think that'll wrap up this project unless there's anything that pops up. I don't think it'll be worth showing you putting the wood back on the wall, but I don't know. We'll see. So I guess that does it. I'll let you know in the future how things seem like they're working. So far, so good. So just stay tuned, and we'll see you next time at the little cabin on the hill.